Good morning. Good morning. You know what? I need to do my mic. Hold on one second. The host has left the building. Sorry, guys. I didn't leave the building. I just left the camera. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Mad Scientist Monday, you guys. Today is all about playing and experimenting. I thought we would be finishing projects today, but it's not April. April is not till Wednesday. I don't know what I was thinking. So on the first Monday of every month is when we'll circle back and we'll like finish projects and do all the small details. But for today, you guys, I have brought out my atlas. So one of the ways that I like to create or experiment, good morning, Mary, is by using an atlas. And the reason why I like experimenting in an old atlas, good morning. The reason why I like experimenting in an old atlas is because if you think about our home decor projects, this is about the scale, right? That a home decor project would be. So if you're trying to work out something for a home decor piece, good morning, Elizabeth. This using an atlas is a really good way, just because of the size of it. I wish I had a tape measure. It's probably 11 by 16, 12 by 16, maybe somewhere in there. Good morning, Karen. And so let me put you guys down. You guys don't want to see me, which I understand. There we go. Oh, okay. There we go. Um, I've already taken the liberty of gessoing this page. I did want to show you guys some of my hot mess pages really quickly. Yeah, we'll go with the flow kind of peeps. I know. I guess I should put my mic on, although it's probably using the mic from my hold on one second, you guys. Let me get my sound right. We don't want to go with the default mic. Okay. Can you guys hear me okay? You guys let me know how the sound sounds. The sound sounds. Um, oh wow, I'm kind of close, aren't I? But I think we'll be okay. Make sure. Okay. Oh Lord, that's cricket. So I just want to flip through and show you guys something, because for me, these pages, I couldn't bring myself to paint over these beautiful pages. So look at that blue. Isn't that just fabulous? Anyways, so those aren't painted, but I did do some of these other pages. This one, I had a brand new stencil at the time, was my bird nest stencil. And so I was experimenting to see like what I could create. A lot of times when I bring projects to you guys, I've already like gone into one of my journals and played around a little bit so that I could kind of know what to expect. Oh, thank you guys so much. So I can kind of know what to expect, right? And this is the recycled water can stencil. And I actually use texture with this one. This one's fun. So that's a raised stencil there. This one we did together in a live a few years ago. So this is where I come to like, this was fun. There's like tissue paper on here and it's all wrinkly. Did we do this one together? I can't remember. But anyways, so inside of here, I come and play. Sometimes things work, sometimes they don't. Look, sometimes I start projects and I don't finish them. I have priors for that. And so this is where I work things out. And so I challenge you to really try to have, if you don't want to call it an art journal, call it a creative journal, whatever is going to motivate you. Oh yeah, this one I lost like a whole Chianetta, but it's okay because it's still in my book. And the cool thing is all these experiments are like stored tidily, right, inside of my book. So today, I don't know what I'm going to do because I got to pull 4 sticks. Good morning, Chris, to see what we're going to be doing. So if you are new here, I'm sorry. My name is Royce Hunt Bell. I'm the owner, operator of Roycycled Treasures. And we meet here every Monday for Mad Scientist Monday. Oh, I forgot to put on my lab coat this morning. For Mad Scientist Monday. And this is where we come to play and to experiment, and most of all, to see what happens, right? And the way that we do that is we play the Roycycled mixed media mashup game. And you can get your own game. If you are on Facebook, you can put hashtag create, I think. I'm pretty sure that's what I programmed. And you can get a link to be able to get the game. So this is one page of the game. It's 2 pages. And on each column, there is a subject. So paint, DIY, stencils, stamp, collage. And then each of the squares is a specific prompt and or challenge. And so I cut my pieces up and I put them on popsicle sticks. And then I just pull random popsicle sticks. Well, they're not popsicle sticks, they're tongue depressors. And I just pull random tongue depressors on our Mad Scientist Monday. And whatever I pull is what I have to do. And I really do challenge you guys to play along with me because it really is a way to push you outside of your comfort zone. And honestly, to use those products that you purchased 2 years ago that you haven't touched. This is a great way for you to kind of play with that. I'm going to share something with you guys. Before I pull, I do want to share something. So inside of our membership, we do a lot of experimenting. And I mean like full on, I don't know what's going to happen. Let's see what happens. And so we've been playing with acrylic paint skins. And on this one, I use the matte medium, our matte gel. And on this one, I used a gloss gel. And, you know, when we're talking about decoupage, we talk a lot about how to really push the transparency of your paper. And we talk about using gloss gel versus using matte gel. And I thought this is such an incredible illustration of that, right? Because you can clearly see the mattifiers in this skin. And in this one, where we use gloss, it is completely crystal clear. So that is why when you're trying to maximize the transparency of your paper, you get such an incredibly clear result when you use gloss versus when you use matte. And so when you experiment, you get to know a lot about yourself, absolutely, but you also get to know more intimately the quality of the products that you're using. And the more knowledge that you know about the products, then the more equipped you are to use them, right? To meet whatever goal that you set for yourself in your creativity. So I am going to go through and choose, look, I like to mix them up so that, and I'm closing my eyes. You guys can see me in my little circle. I'm going to close my eyes and I'm going to pull 4 random sticks. And then we're going to see what I get. If I pull 2 from the same, then I'll pull something else. But that hasn't happened yet. And it didn't happen today. So stencils, blended stencil. Oh man, I don't even know. I may have to hop in the house and go get one of my round brushes, but it's okay. So a blended stencil, that's going to be fun. Underpainting, paint white. I've already done that. Noise. Stamp with a metallic. Ooh, okay, that's going to be fun. And then DIY tape. Do I have any? I pulled this one last week as a bonus, and I did not use it. So I have some DIY tape. I just don't know where it is. I'll find it. So I'll have to use some of my DIY tape unless I can make some, which I don't know what I have to make any. We'll see. We'll deal with that one. So I have to make some DIY tape. So I may do one of those. I have to go in the house anyways. So I might need you guys to entertain yourselves for a few minutes while I go run and gather supplies. White underpainting. It's already done. That one's kind of cool. I should pick another one since that's done already, huh? A blended stencil, stamp with metallics. I'm going to pull another one because I've already painted the underpainting white. Decoupage, use transparent top decoupage layer. So technically we have 5, but really, painting white is already done. So I have to use a transparent decoupage layer over the top of whatever I do. This is going to be fun. You guys give me like 3 minutes. Good morning, Annie. Give me like 3 minutes to gather myself. Karen Moyer, I am appointing you as my guest hostess while I go and gather supplies. So you can chat with everybody. I'll be right back. Oh, wait, I got to take my mic off. I almost pulled down the whole thing, you guys. That was fast, right? Normally, my DIY tape involves packing tape because it's clear, but you know what? We are going to we'll use some. This is what I found. So, this is what we're going to use. And I just need a piece of. Okay. This is a piece of mat that I obviously need to clean, but it's okay. We're going to use the back and we're going to stick the tape to it and we'll do our DIY tape first. And in an effort to keep my project clean, I'm going to go ahead and cover it with that piece so I don't get anything on it. And let's make some DIY tape. I'm thinking that I am going to use this. This is just some regular masking tape. And we're going to do a quick DIY tape project together. Maybe this is some sticky tape. I do want to have it come off in one clean piece. I mean, I may tear it later, but I don't want it to be torn right now. Okay, there we go. I'm going to have to unsticky this tape when I get ready to use it a little bit. So I'm using, my silicone mat because I know I can peel the tape off safely. And let's see, what are we going to do to this tape? I'm going to go over it super quick. with just a little bit of gesso because it's kind of slick on the top, and I want to make sure that whatever we put on the top is going to stick. And I'm going to put a little bit of ink in that gesso though, because I don't want my tape to be white. So we're going to tint it with a little bit of acrylic ink. I have no idea how this is going to work out, you guys. I'm just experimenting. We'll see what happens. And so basically acrylic is a primer, right? It's going to give my surface some tooth so that whatever I put on here sticks. I just didn't want it to be bright white. Oh, thank you guys so much for chatting. I appreciate it. Thank you, Karen, for being my guest hostess while I was gathering my stuff. Doing an impersonation of the Hulk. Oh, somebody tearing the sleeves off of their shirt. That's funny. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything or anyone. Thank you guys so much. Thank you. Thank you. See, y'all my peeps. Hey, Tina, how are you? So I'm going to dry this super quick, right? So now I have a surface that has some tooth. And what are we going to put on here? What are we going to do? I'm trying to think. I'm going to be doing a metallic stamp. So why not add some metallic to our tape? But first, is that going to be the stencil I want to use? I think so. I think I know the stencil that I'm going to use on my piece. And so I would like for the stencil that I'm going to use. Oh, you know what? This would work. This will be a nice juxtaposition to what I'm going to use. So this is just a numbered stencil, right? Just a bunch of random numbers. You guys know how I feel about random numbers. I do have my round brush. This is a Klingon brush, but whatever round brush you're using, I am going to tape it. And we're going to make this round brush into a stencil brush. And you can use, I know some people use string. I use tape. But just, you know, the purpose is just to tighten up your bristles so that they stay really tight when you are pouncing or swirling, which we're going to be doing today, your pieces. And if you're furniture, you can use one of the giant brushes, right? And tape it together, and then you have like a huge stencil brush. So should I use ink? I'm going to go ahead and use this acrylic ink for my tape. And I want to spend a ton of time on this because I want to save time for our actual project. You guys see how I'm offloading the most of my product because I don't want to have so much product in my brush that I end up pushing it underneath my stencil, right? And I really don't need each number to be perfect because this is going to be more of a texture anyways. And then I'm going to have to use this piece of DIY tape somewhere on my project. And then once I offload most of my project, most of the products, then I feel safe kind of swirling my brush around over my stencil. But that's one of the ways. So 3 things that I do to get a clean stencil. A, I'm going to offload most of my product. I'd rather do several passes and get a clean stencil than to try to get a stencil in one pass and end up pushing product underneath the stencil. 2 is I like to dab up and down, right? So I'm not even pushing underneath my stencil at all. And then when I get most of the product off of my brush, then I can swirl And I'm confident that I'm not going to push any product underneath that stencil. I feel like when someone says that they never get a clean stencil, it's because of the lack of patience, because it really does take patience to be able to do it. So we have our numbers there. Let's do this other piece. Okay. So I've stenciled it, and now I'm just going to do a little bit of splatter of this metallic copper ink over the top of my numbers, and I think that's it. Like, I don't want to spend a ton of time because this isn't our main project, right? I like using a fan brush to do my splatters because I feel like I get nice little splatters instead of splashes. I don't want splashes, I want splatters. And I feel like that's kind of, let's do something. Do I have... This is just a creamy acrylic from Pintart. And I'm going to splatter a little bit of white. I have a lot of dark on here. So I'm going to splatter just a little bit of white so I have some contrast. And the reason why I'm watering my paint down is so it'll like come off of the brush. But I still want to have enough pigment. So you guys will notice that I'm like splattering over here first. That's to make sure I like the kind of splatters I'm getting before I start. So just a little bit of white. And then we can set our tape aside and we'll come back to this later. We'll add it somewhere in our project. I don't know where, but somewhere. Okay, that's all I'm going to do. I don't spend a ton of time. So we have our DIY tape. It's all decorated. You guys can't see my splatters, but they're on there. There we go. And I could keep going, right? But we're not here to make tape. That's supposed to just be a little detour. So I'm going to set that over there and let it dry. And let's get back to our main project. So DIY tape is done, right? 1 down and 4 to go. Well, actually, we have 2 down because I already painted the background white. So that one's done. So we have 3 more to go. We have a blended stencil, a stamp with metallic, and we have a transparent top decoupage layer. Let's do the blended stencil. I did pull out a stencil this morning that I was hoping I get to use, and it is like perfect for this assignment. I love using a pattern like this whenever I'm doing a blended stencil, and this is going to be too perfect. So when I say a blended stencil, because you guys have the games, and I know I've had people reach out to me and they're like, what does this even mean? A blended stencil is when you are taking last night. Oh my gosh, my project. Last night during our live, we did a blended piece. We used 2 different colored greens and a black. Let me go grab it. Hold on, I'll be right back. Good morning. Is that Brenda? If you guys hear a big thump, thump, thump splatter, don't be afraid. It's probably just me that fell on my tush. I have priors. Okay. So this is a piece we did last night, and you guys can see that we used several colors, right? And we blended them together. Piece. And so a blended stencil is kind of the same thing, but you're doing it through the stencil. I think it's ironic that we pulled that this morning, considering that we worked on blending last night. Blending is super hard with acrylic paint because acrylic paint dries and seizes so quickly. So I prefer to use either a chalk base or a clay base paint whenever I'm doing any kind of blended finish. So let me find some paint. I should just use the colors from last night. That would be easy, right? Do I want to use those colors? And the crazy part is that piece looks so blue online, but it really is green. Like tourmaline is a green. It's not even a blue. So weird. So I'm going to use my bigger brush for this stencil. So I'm just going to tape it together to make sure that my bristles are nice and tight so that my brush acts like a stencil brush. Good morning, Michelle. Okay, so that's taped together. Let me, I don't have any chalk style paint near me. Let me go grab, I'm gonna grab the colors we used last night. Give me 1 second. Oh wait, they're right there. Can I reach them and not have to take my knife off? What? So we have tourmaline and Neptune. This one is a teal, but it leans really, really green. And this one is a really soft green. But for some reason on the screen, they look really blue. It probably has something to do with pixels or something. I am going to, let me make myself, I have a piece. You guys see me pulling out these pieces. This is like a silicone mat and it comes in a roll. I love this so much. I use it for so many different things. I'm going to go ahead and pull out a little bit of each of these colors of paint. I threw away my spoon. Why did I do that? Let me see. Oh, you know what? I have my spatulas here. That'll be good. So, and I need very little paint. Like I'm going to need hardly any paint at all. So I'm not going to pull out a bunch. Make sure that's closed because I've had experiences where I have knocked over and spilled an entire can of paint in here. No bueno. And I'm going to use the other side of my spatula and see if I can just get a little bit of this color out because I don't need a ton. Just a little bit's going to go a long way because we're stenciling, right? Now I'm going to have to really think about what paper I'm going to use. Although this one does call for a transparent top layer, which does make it a little easier. Okay, so I want to do kind of a sporadic texture on here. So I'm going to go in with, I'm going to start with my lighter color first. And I'm going to have to follow the rules of stenciling, right? So I'm going to have to offload that light color. And I'm going to tap it in. And then when I feel comfortable that I've tapped off most of the product, then I will go in and swirl it. Now I'm going to go in with a darker color and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm pouncing off most of that paint, and I'm going to tap it in. I'm overlapping a little bit. And I'm going to swirl that color on. And so what I end up with is a really pretty, can you guys see that? A really pretty blend of paint. Let me lay down some more shapes and then I'll pick it up where you guys can see all of them, okay? And let's start off, since we have dark on here, we'll go ahead and start off with dark on the next one. And then I'm going to go into my light paints. And I know you guys can't see it, but I'm literally just like pouncing on my palette to take off the majority of the paint that's on there. And so you can see how, let me see if I can get it up to the camera. And so you can take that same idea of blending and apply it to your stencils. So you guys can see how I have both the light color and the dark color, and they're blending into each other. So it's not like one or the other. They're overlapping and they're blending into each other. So when I mean a blended stencil, that's what I mean. Hey, Lynn, how are you? Yeah, 10 o'clock, you guys. 9 o'clock is too early for me. I cannot do it. I cannot do it. I am a night owl. I'm usually up until at least 2 a.m. in the morning, which is a booger when I have the grandbaby because I have to get him to school. But I should have double checked and see I didn't pounce that time. So hopefully I didn't mess up my stencil. Almost. Phew. I got busy talking. And you guys notice I'm not cleaning my brush and I'm using the same brush for both colors. That actually helps with the blending. I think I need one more shape right here and then we're done. Ooh, that's a lot of paint on my brush, so I'm gonna do more pouncing then. I think that's good, right? That's a nice little pattern on there. I'm gonna go through and just add like a couple of little shapes here and there. And I did want it to feel like broken. I didn't want it to be perfect. So I think I'm digging that. I need a couple of off edge though. Everything's floating in the middle. That's no oil. I did want more of that lighter color in some places though. Off edge is a little bit harder here, but I need it. So we're gonna make it happen. Even if it's not whole, just something, right? I think that's gonna be a little bit more balanced. I need something right there. And it doesn't even have to be like complete, just, and this one, I'm going to leave those. They balance each other out. So now I have my blended stencil down on my piece. And you guys, I hope you guys can see like where the light blends. I think this light is too bright. Let me turn her down a wee bit. Lord have mercy for Jesus. Is that better or worse, you guys? What do you guys think? It's not as bright. Did I go too far down? Dang it. Okay. It's hard whenever you have white on the camera. So I'll be glad we get some color on this page. So hopefully you guys can see that. I blended those two colors on the one stencil. I do love this effect, especially if you're like painting furniture. This can be really, really beautiful. And you guys can see I even have like kind of some ghost prints in there where it's super light, and I love that too. So this is our bottom section. So let's see, a white underpainting is done, DIY tape is done, and then blended stencil is done. And we have stamp with a metallic. I think we're going to do that over the top, and then we have a transparent decoupage layout. I just saw a white decoupage paper here. My only quandary is that this isn't going to be, I thought this would be perfect because we could stamp something, right? There's still room to stamp something in that area in between. And the thing about the recycled decoupage paper is the decoupage paper with the white backgrounds, we can really push the transparency like a lot to make them virtually disappear. And so you have the option of having your bottom show through a little or a lot. The choice is yours. So let's see. This paper is really made for more like 8x10 art journal, not one, just this one. So I don't know if that's going to work. This is the recycled paintable botanical decoupage paper, which has some really pretty options. And if I were working on a smaller journal, right, this would be enough to cover the full page. But because we're working with something, and then this one I've used a couple of times, like we could just use the whole paper, right? I've used this one a couple of times already. So I am missing papers. I might come back to that one though. We'll see what happens. Oh, here's a whole piece. Maybe. That could be pretty, right? I don't know. I'm thinking that I need something that's going to serve more as a background. Let me find. I'm thinking that the recycled topography love would be really good on top of here, and then we could layer something else on top of that. So let me see if I have some. I will tell you guys that I probably use the topography love paper more in my art than any other paper. It is proven to be so versatile, which makes sense because I really created it because I wanted it. Like I wanted to have the option of having a background paper. Give me just a minute, you guys, because I really don't know what I'm going to do until I show up with you guys. And so I don't have everything pulled out. So if you're just popping on, this is our Mad Scientist Monday. And I show up and I pull these sticks. Good morning, Lisa. And which stencil? I think this may be one of Mara's stencils, but I'm not positive because it doesn't look like one of hers. But for some reason I'm thinking it is, and there's no branding on the stencil itself. So I'm not sure, but it's just a damask, right? Pattern that's on here. I'm not sure whose stencil this is. It looks like something Mara would have though, right? Mara LaFay? I think she does have one. Even if it's hers, I know that she has one. Lord have mercy for Jesus. Y'all should see this mess I have over here. Karen, I know you understand. Hmm. You guys know I'm looking for a specific paper to use. And because I'm looking for it, I don't see it. Isn't that crazy? Have you guys ever done that? You're looking for something, and then when you get finished and you're like on to the next thing, if you find it and it's like right there, like you should have seen it right away. Okay, I found some. I don't know how big it is or how complete it is, but we're going to use it. I think this is enough. Even if we have to piece it together a little bit, I think that I can use a piece from here. Ooh, that's kind of perfect. Okay, so I do have big enough piece. So we'll use this. And I'm just using my fingernail to score the edges so that I know where I need to cut. And I always cut a little bit past where I think I need to cut to allow myself a little margin of error, because you guys know sometimes paper moves or we mismeasure, stuff happens. I remember one of my first DIY projects, we installed a new cooler and we had just installed new drywall. And I'm in Arizona and we have swamp coolers. I know people in other places have no idea what that is, but basically it's a box and water runs through it and air runs through it. So it's not as good as AC, but it works most of the time here because you don't have a lot of moisture. I digress. I cut a hole in the drywall and it was wrong. It was wrong. It was like 4 inches off. I just could not believe it. And I measured like so many times. Yeah, the Topography Love is such a good background sheet. And because the background is white, you guys will see here that we're going to make it virtually disappear. So even though this is underneath our paper, it's going to be a big part of our final design because I'm really going to push the transparency of this as I decoupage. I'm having a love-hate relationship with this atlas right now because it is larger. It's taking up a lot of space on my table. So what am I going to do to push the transparency? I'm going to do 3 things. One, when I mist my paper, I'm going to mist it thoroughly. So you guys know how sometimes when you mist your paper, you see like little white dots or white marks. You don't want that if what you're pushing is transparency. You really want to wet it enough so that you can see through the paper. Let me remove this because this camera isn't working anyways. You really want to wet it so that you can see through it. You want it to be transparent when you wet it. I don't want it to be like soppy wet though, right? Because that's no bueno either. But I just want it to be wet enough. That's why I like using the misting spray bottle, because it allows me to wet thoroughly. And I'm putting this diagonal because it's easy for me to decoupage this way. Because it's easier for me to wet the paper thoroughly without like saturating it to the point where it's like soggy wet. So I'm going to do that. The second thing I'm going to do is I am going to use a glossy decoupage medium with it. And I took my gloss medium in the house. I have some heavy body gel here. I may use this. It's interesting. Different products make the paper more transparent. And I was playing around with some heavy body gel, and it made the paper even more transparent than the other medium that I was using. I think I was using matte medium. Anyways, I digress. So let's use some heavy body gel with this one. I'm going to have to thin it out a lot though, because so most of the time I prefer a more fluid decoupage medium when I'm working with the tissue paper, because it's less tacky and it gives me more flexibility when I am decoupaging. I did find when I was working on my canvases for my more like art projects that I like using like the GAC 100 or one of the acrylic extenders to decoupage with, because they stay open longer. It really gives you a lot of opportunity to be able to reposition your paper. And because the Roycycled decoupage paper is an 18-pound paper, it's going to be a lot more forgiving than like a lighter decoupage paper. So we'll use this today and we'll find out what happens. This is a laboratory, right? We're just trying stuff and see what happens. And then the third thing that I do is I go right over the top right away with the product after I adhere it. So those will be the steps that I'll be following over and over again as I decoupage this. And you guys will notice that I'm going to go in when I'm decoupaging, because this is a larger piece. And so when I'm working on a larger piece, when I'm decoupaging, I like to only mist the section that I'm actually working with. And then when I get ready to adhere the next section, then I'll mist that one. And so you guys see I'm using a little bit more water than I normally do, because I really want my paper to be transparent when it's wet. I don't want to have, because if you leave those white marks, I mean, you guys know what I'm saying. It's like the paper isn't quite white in that little section. And you end up with something that isn't as transparent, which can be useful if that's what you want. You know, if you want to have your transparency kind of go in and out, then you can do that. But if you want to have it be really transparent, then just make sure that your paper is really wet all the way across. And so I'm just making sure, and my paper is kind of sticking, which is nice, because I know, because my paper is already stretched, that it's going to stay that way and I don't have to worry about it wrinkling up. Oh, Lord. And this is Artemisia. I don't know how to pronounce that, but this is like the art products from PinTart is what I'm using. So this is a gloss gel. And so I know that it's going to give me like maximum gloss here. And this is a gel that we've been using when we've been experimenting with our ¿cómo se dice? Our paint skins inside of the Roycycled membership. And so I know that this is going to dry like super transparent, which is what I want to happen on top of my paper. And it looks super transparent when it's wet. And we all know that as it dries, we'll get a little bit more opacity, but it'll still be pretty transparent, and we'll be able to see that really pretty stencil right through our paper. How pretty is that going to be? So I'm going to go ahead and just finish decoupaging this using the same steps. Now that I have my anchor rolled down, I feel more comfortable that my paper isn't going to shift around. And so I'm comfortable going ahead and just decoupaging the rest of it. And really making sure that my paper is transparent from the water. Because any area that's drier that doesn't have the transparency, like that's the most transparency you're going to get from it. So it could be cool though, if you could have some areas that were less transparent than others. That could be a cool look, especially for something like this where we have a broken damask, right? So whenever we're talking about the qualities of products or processes, I want us to start thinking less of good and bad and more of, is that what I'm trying to accomplish right now? Because even like with mixing colors, a lot of people will say, you don't want your colors to be muddy, but sometimes you want your colors to be muddy, right? You want something to be more neutral. And so you'd like it to be, oh man, I touched my other paper and so now I'm lifting it up, which is not optimum. So be careful, don't do that. Sometimes you want your colors to be neutralized. So it's not a matter of good and bad. It's just a matter, is that what you want in the moment? So not missing my paper all the way. If I wanted the transparency to kind of be kind of like my stencil where it's coming in and out, that might be kind of cool. I think I'm going to play with that one day, not today, but another day. And the one thing about the misting method is I do feel like it's harder to tell where you've laid down product and where you haven't. So you want to really be mindful and kind of methodical about how you're doing it so that you don't end up with a spot where you don't have any product. Because that's why you get bubbles in your decoupage. Again, if you're wanting to play the mixed media mashup game with me on Monday mornings, you guys can get a copy of the game. If you're on YouTube, if you go to my communities tab, I do have the link posted there. And if you are on Facebook, you can put #create and you will get a link so that you can snag your copy of the game so that you can play too. And some people just, if they don't want to like go through the motions of like downloading it and printing out their own game, they'll just choose this. They'll make a projects with the same prompts that I choose for today, that I've chosen for the day, which that can be fun too. And if you guys do, I want to see your projects, okay? I'm always excited to see what you guys say. And remember this, the third thing is that we want to go right over the top with our product, because that's really going to push that transparency even more. I think my arms are a little tired from blending that piece last night. I do want to point out that if you tried to do this with napkins, you would just have a shredded mess on your hands at this point. So having the heavier tissue paper is really a lot more forgiving than the thinner napkins. Okay. And again, we're going to get back some of the opacity from this paper when we dry it, but you're still going to be able to see the bottom really well. You guys see how much that stencil is showing through? Like you can really see that. Look at that. So pretty. So let's dry this. And I'm going to have to think about what stamp I want to use for a metallic. You guys have any ideas for what stamp I should use with metallic paint? So I did a transparent layer on the top layer of decoupage. So that one's done. So just to recap, because I know people are coming in and out. We had a white underpainting was how we started. I made some DIY tape, which we'll end up using at some point in the project. I had to do a blended stencil, which is we use two different colors when we put our stencil on, and we blended those colors together. And then I had to use a transparent decoupage on the top. So that's what we've just done, is we've laid down a transparent decoupage layer. And I am going to dry that really quickly. The one thing about the gloss gel, which I guess is beautiful, like if we were going to do an alcohol ink on top of this gloss gel will be a perfect surface for that. So again, it's not a matter of good or bad. It's just a matter of like what you want in the moment. And in the moment, because I'm going to be stamping, I believe that I want my surface to have a little bit more tooth to it. But if I go over with a clear gesso, I'm going to lose our transparency. Ugh, decisions. How about the peony stamp? Or one of the similar ones. Ooh, that's a good idea. And I do want to point out that I try to come with a different surface each week so that we're not just looking at like journals, but that we're looking at all the possibilities for the use here together. And I'm using this atlas today, but the reality is anything that we do here today, you can absolutely do on furniture, right? On home decor. So it's not limited to just this atlas, just because that's what we have here today. You can use this on any surface. So how pretty would this be, like on a piece of furniture? I think it would be gorgeous, like on a door of a buffet. If you could have like a really pretty stencil and then the typography over the top. And then if you went over the top with transfers. And now when you start layering your products, you're creating something that is unique to you, even though you're using the same products as other people will use. Hey, Joyce. She says, I tried to do the transparency to show the background, but I got sections that didn't show the background. Yeah, Joy. So I was just talking about that. You want to make sure when you mist your paper that you're super consistent and that you mist all of the paper so that it's all transparent. If you have some areas that still look white when you mist water on them, you want to mist them again because they'll stay white or more opaque. So if you want to have a consistent, like transparent look, then make sure that you mist it. But yes, it's still beautiful, right? It just shows kind of an undulation of your background coming in and out. I still think it's pretty though. I know I have that peony stamp somewhere, Karen, but it's just a matter of where. But I do love that stamp. I'm also thinking that maybe we use a stamp for texture because we have so much going on right now that I feel like a stamp would get lost. Like if we were to just go in with a stamp for this project and that would be it, I feel like it would get lost. So I was thinking about maybe using gold paint with like some crackle and then using a really pretty transfer, or just using a really pretty transfer and then as a last like finishing touch going in with a gold crackle stamp. If you guys love experimenting and learning this way, you guys should check out the Roycycled Besties membership. We do so many deep dives, and I mean deep dives, into different processes, and we do a lot of experiments. They don't always work. I'm just telling you the truth. Last night or Wednesday, I was teaching a process and it didn't work. And it's not that it didn't work. It's just we're going to have to tweak it again. So we're going to revisit it next week, make some tweaks and revisit it. Because I know it will work because I used to do it years ago. But we've modified kind of how we approach it. Okay. So that's dry enough, I think, for me to be able to move forward because we still have to get to our tape, which I'm sad about putting the tape over this, but we got to do it. So I'm going to do it. So where is my tape? Earlier, before we got started, we made this piece of tape, right? This is our DIY tape, which was part of the challenge. I am going to take this and like tape it on my leg to make it a little less sticky because I don't really trust the glue on the back of the tape. And I want to adhere this with something more, something that I trust more. So I'm going to try to remove some of the stickiness on here. You can also like put it on your arm, which probably is more like works better because our skin has oil in it and it just makes it a little less sticky. And then we can take this, if you're a man and you have a lot of hair though, or if you just have a lot of hair, this might not be pleasant, but so I have this piece of tape that I'm really reticent to put on here, but I'm going to do it because I have to honor the challenge. So I am going to I'm going to attach a piece. I'm going to just put a piece right there, and I'm going to put a little piece down there. And technically, I did use it, you guys. So, and I should have used gold paint, right? Instead of, I'm going to go ahead and use this gel since I have it out. Oops. I never want a straight edge in my composition. It's just a personal thing. So like if I have an edge that's perfectly straight, I try to put it on the edge and not like in the middle of my composition. So this one, even this one is torn. It's not like straight. The edge of the tape on that side is super straight. And then I'm going to put another little piece over here just to balance things out. Karen saying, oh no, what, Karen? What did I do? I think it'll look better this way. Okay. So technically, I've used my tape because it's part of the challenge and I have to follow the challenge. But you guys can probably tell that if we weren't doing the challenge, I probably would not use it. But it's okay. I have it on there. It's good. Just a little bit. It's going to be fine. So I'm going to finish drying this because I actually want to go over this with the transfer. I have, I'm going to show you guys the transfer that I have pulled out. I have this transfer pulled out. And I thought that with this green, some pink roses would be really pretty. But you guys know that when you're putting a transfer on top of your surface, you really want to make sure it's dry. So I'm just going to go through and dry this some more before I attempt to adhere the transfers to it. Thumbs up. Annie's giving me a thumbs up. Karen, I want to know what you're talking about. Oh no. That's a really emotional, oh no. And if you guys enjoy this process, like you guys, like I know it's a scary place being inside of my mind. But that's kind of what it's like on Mondays because I legitimately don't know what I'm going to do. And I'm talking through the process. So you guys kind of get to hear like how I approach challenges and what I'm thinking. And hopefully that's helpful. Because sometimes knowing how somebody got to, a decision can be really helpful in understanding like why. And you guys notice, okay, so I'm going to point out that the gel medium made the paper more transparent. Like this is even more transparent than I normally get when I use like the glossy decoupage medium. I'm going to show you guys in just a second. I have a little sticky spot right here that I must have gotten a little bit of medium on. So this paper is completely dry. And look how transparent it still is. And honestly, I don't even think it's really showing in the camera just how transparent it is. It's almost like the white is non-existent, and all is there is the letter and the artwork that we put behind it. And so the gloss gel medium is so much more, made the paper so much more transparent than the other mediums that I've used. So I just want to point that out. Yeah. Hey, Carolyn, how are you? So I haven't posted our first class, Carol. It is going to be Wednesday evening, okay, for the membership. I'll get that done at some time today. I'm wrangling judges right now to try to get our final results in for the contest. So I'm hoping to be able to post those results soon. I kind of overcomplicated the process with my spreadsheets, but we're going to get it. We'll get it and we'll get those results posted. But Carolyn, we'll be meeting Wednesday at 5 p.m. Pacific time for the membership. And we're painting a piece of furniture is what we're doing right now. I have a piece of furniture. It's a settee that I got from a friend of mine. People bring me furniture, you guys. They're like, they know I do furniture, so they just bring it to me. And so she texted me to come and get a piece of furniture. And of course I was like, yeah, I'll be right there. So I'm going to paint it using my leather look. And I need to get it done before the retreat. So we're going to take a reprieve from our acrylic skins just for a little bit, so that we can work on the chair. So I'm hoping to get my first crumb coat on today so that I'm sure that that is dry by Wednesday evening, so we can get started with the second layer. I'm just trimming off the extra paper with scissors because, like, you know, I mean, I guess I could use a sanding block, but probably not as effective on paper. So this little corner right there is here, but I'll fix that later. So I think that I am pretty dry. So let's go over with a transfer and then we'll stamp on some gold crackle. And I think that this is going to be so pretty. I want to add like some thicker typography too. So, and the game is I'm not limited to only the things I put on the stick. I just have to include them all. So I'm probably going to do some additional things, you know, looking at this, and it's only 11:08, so I have time. I mean, not only, we've been here an hour, but you guys know. I think I made decisions faster. You guys think I'll get faster about making decisions doing this? Ooh, that would be a nice, like, you know, thing that'll happen. I think that I would like to put like a heavy piece of typography on here, but even if it's heavier weighted, it'll still be competing with all this. So I might go in and do a white wash just to push things back a little bit in the area where I'm going to be putting that typography. So we'll do that. But let's pick our flower. Maybe I should just do like one small flower, so it's not like super, I don't know. I know I want to do pink, and I know that this looks green on this, looks more blue, but it really is green. And so I'm going to pick a pink to go in here. There are so many roses in this one transfer. It's kind of crazy. And it's nice because you have smaller scale roses like these, and then there's some medium-sized ones, and then you have the larger ones. So like we have a lot of options. I'm thinking that one has a lot of leaves, which is a lot more greenery. I kind of like the leaves on this one, but the bloom isn't very big. So I'm thinking I'll go with this one and maybe I'll supplement it with these smaller roses. So I'm going to go ahead and trim this. In my mind right now, you guys, I'm trying to make a decision. I'm not saying this out loud. I apologize. I'm trying to make a decision about how I'm going to approach this, because if I do a white wash on this, if I put the white wash first, then I'm going to have to wait for that to dry before I can put on my transfer. And I'm just wondering in my mind, if I put my transfer on first, and then if I do a wash, will it, impact the adhesion of my transfer? Because the water is going to travel through the paper and could theoretically go behind the paper and get under my transfer, which would actually make for a bigger mess, right? Because now I'm going to be trying to re-adhere something that I've already used the glue on the back of the hose for. So I'm thinking that I should do the whitewash first and then put the transfer on, so that once I get the transfer down, I'm really not adding any additional moisture. And I don't have to fussy cut this out, because we know that this image is only on, like, the white portions here are not going to matter, because once I lift my transfer, like, the art is the only thing that's going to transfer. But I do like to, like, kind of fussy cut around them, because I feel like it gives me a better sense of how my item is going to look on my project. And so when you guys see me doing this, it's not because I need to fussy cut as far as how it works, just because it's going to give me a better visual of how this piece is going to actually sit on my project. And you guys will notice that we're using the larger pieces. So even though I'm working in my art journal, because it's an atlas and my pages are larger, it resembles the scale of, say, I don't know, even a door on a piece of furniture, and or a piece of like home decor that you're creating. And so that's why experimenting in these atlases can be so fun, because it is a lot like creating a piece of home decor as far as size. And then I'm wondering if I should do a little bit of a wash in the area where I'm going to put the roses even. I just don't want everything to be competing with each other. And my background's not going to show through my roses, but my roses still have to stand up against the busyness of the background. I don't know if I don't know if I need that. Well, I guess if I do it like this, that'll be pretty. I'll do these more like that. Yes, that's going to be pretty. So if I put my roses here, are they going to be competing with the background because it's busier? And then for the heavy topography that I wanted to add, I was looking at this. This is just like a bit that I have from an old transfer. And I like the idea of this, but let me see. And I have to put another piece of tape on here so I don't ruin this transfer. I want to say this is from, oh, the name was right on my tongue, Bar and Sudges. I want to say this is a piece from the Bar and Sudges transfer, which was an older one. I love this transfer. I'm so sad that it was retired, but I get it. I guess specimen is really the only thing that's going to fit. Blends is going to be too big. So I'm going to put another piece of tape. Where is my blue tape? Because I don't want this to curl up and stick to something or stick to itself and get ruined. So I just put a piece of tape on there so that that doesn't happen. So even when you're going back and using your pieces of transfer, you want to be mindful, right? Because we don't want to ruin that. But I think having specimen across the top of here would be so perfect, right? So I'm going to go and do a whitewash. Just a little bit, not a lot. I'm going to use the Pinch Art Creamy Acrylic. I like this white because it's kind of like semi-transparent. So it's going to be perfect for what we want to do here. And if I were doing a normal wash, I would use a ton of water. But I don't really want to use a lot of water in this instance. What if you did the copper metallic, maybe? I don't know. I think with the roses and the green, the gold would be pretty. Yeah, I'm just concerned with it competing with the background. And I know with a different scale, I'm going to just do a little bit of a pushback, not a lot, not a ton, just a wee bit. Um, I just want to create some visual space for the things that we're laying over the top. And so rather than spraying a bunch of water on my paper, because I do need this to dry in the next few minutes, I'm going to water my paint down. So that it's thinner and hopefully that'll actually dry faster. And this is pretty smooth because of the gel medium too. So the paint will glide across a little bit better. And when I say I'm going to add some opacity, you guys, I'm not going to add a lot. I just want to push this stuff back just a little bit, not a ton. I'm not going to paint over it. I know Karen's over there making faces at me right now. I see you, Karen. But a whitewash can really, your battery is running low. Oh, give me 1 second, you guys. I forgot to plug in my laptop. Give me 1 second. Okay. Crisis averted. Okay. So I'm not going to like decimate the background. I know that's what Karen is used to me doing. I'm not doing that today, Karen. I promise. Um, I am just going to add a really thin whitewash to create a visual space. You're still going to be able to see all the things in the background. I promise, promise. I definitely want to put a whitewash over these. Let's push those back a lot. They're like the relative you have to invite to the party. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding, not kidding. Um, oh, okay. Yeah, I'm just going to paint that tape back a little bit because I don't particularly care for it, but it's part of the challenge. So I'm cheating a little bit, but you guys don't mind, do you? So this is the area where I want to put the specimen. This is the area where the flowers kind of lived. And I don't want to go over the whole background, just the areas that are like right around the flowers. Okay. See what I mean? So let me put it up so you guys can, hopefully you guys can see. Sometimes the camera doesn't always like show everything accurately, and it can be difficult, especially with white. Um, so you guys see in that middle right there, you can still see everything really sharply, but on the top right there and on the bottom, it's just pushed back a little bit. You can still see it. It's just not like as loud. It doesn't compete as readily. So I just pushed it back just a little bit, just a wee bit. And I pushed that tape back. I do feel a little bit, I feel a little better about that. So I'm just going to dry this so that we can make sure our transfer is going to go down really well. And our transfers really do love smooth surfaces. So if you're using like a gloss gel, as long as it's really dry, your transfer should adhere really, really well to that. And I almost did a dry brush with the paint. I didn't put a ton of water on, so I'm hoping that will allow me to. And you guys see this area here is a lot brighter than say this area. But if I did all of it and I showed it to you, you probably wouldn't even realize I added a whitewash. And you guys, a lot of what we talk about, especially when we're talking specifically about decoupage, you can find like super concise in my Decoupage with Confidence course, which is available at roycycledacademy.com, where I go over like all of my processes for decoupage, and not just like how to get a decoupage, a wrinkle-free decoupage finish. Absolutely, we cover that. But we also cover like different ways to modify your decoupage paper. We go over how to mix any color that you want, because that's such a huge part of being able to blend your decoupage paper into your projects. And so if you're looking to like level up your decoupage, that course is really good. And not just because I made it, because I made it from my heart and I really do believe in it. So let's put our specimen down and hopefully it's dry enough. I swear half the projects that I'm returning to next Monday are projects where the surface wasn't dry and I couldn't do my transfers. And I can't find a transfer stick right this second. So I'm just using this little spatula because I don't know where my transfer sticks are at this second. And I do still have some moisture in my paper, but my transfer is going down, and this is an older transfer too. So if it's going down, the other one should be easier even. I remember when, I mean, it wasn't right after the transfers came out, but it was early on in ILD. And I was doing a piece of furniture, and somebody was like, oh my gosh, if I have to rub that on for that long, like I could never do that. And now we all just do it as a matter of fact, right? I love transfers because it's a way to only transfer the artwork. The bottom of my end lifted up, so I'm gonna put that back down and hopefully no one will ever know. Okay, so there is my specimen. And where did my roses go? I'm gonna start with my little guy first and then put my big one over the top of that one. So let me see, do I like that? I think I like the diagonal better. Okay. And kind of like my decoupage, I'm gonna like start adhering this, like put down an anchor. And then once it starts adhering and I know that that's where I want it, I can go ahead and take off the top piece of the backing paper. Especially when I'm trying to like layer and I know and I want things to be pretty, you know. I'm being super particular, right, about how things are laying. That's what I'll do. Oh, good, Michelle. Usually I do my organization a little bit different. For the Decoupage with Confidence course, I did organize it a little differently, but I organize it based on what was important to you guys. So like the first section is like how to get wrinkle-free decoupage, and we go over, and it's more of an approach-based training. So it's not like do this, it's more like here are several versions of approaches you could take to your projects. And then here are the step-by-step ways that you can do the activities associated with each approach. And then we do the color theory section so that you can learn how to mix your own colors. And then we spend quite a bit of time blending in different papers so that you guys can see kind of my thought process, and that you can see several examples with several different papers on how we're blending. And everything has, like my trainings are not like talking head trainings where I'm just talking. Every portion of the training has a demonstration. So if you've been wanting to, like, you know, improve your decoupage or expand how you use your decoupage, then my Decoupage with Confidence course can really be a catalyst for you for that. And I have some moisture. If you guys, I'm struggling, not struggling, but my transfer is not readily laying down because there is some moisture. If I were doing this like here at home by myself and you guys weren't with me, I probably would just wait a couple of hours before trying to put the transfer over this. That's why we have second and third projects, right? So we can work on stuff while stuff is drying. And I am using the wave method. You guys see me kind of pushing my paper so that my transfer pops off. That's one way to cheat. But I do want to make sure before I do that my transfer is really adhered well. Okay. Oh, how pretty. It's pretty already, right? I just love pink and green. And this green, I guess this is like a green, and this is more of a tealy green, but it's just greener than it looks on the screen. So these leaves are going to cover up quite a bit of that, but I think it's going to be perfect. I almost wish, nah, that would be weird. This is a big bulk of green, but it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Everything is fine. If you guys enjoy experimenting and watching me think through these processes and really not knowing what's going to work out, be sure and join me here Monday mornings at 10 a.m. Pacific time, where I'll be experimenting every Monday. Oh, and you guys, I will not be live on Easter Sunday. I forgot to talk about that last night. Next Sunday is Easter Sunday. We will be loving on our grandbabies and spoiling them to death. So we will not be live, but I will be here next Monday morning though. And I don't know what I'll be doing because it depends on what I draw out of my, out of the can, right? We don't know what the universe has for me yet. We won't know until next Monday. So if you are new here, my name is Royce Hunt Bell, and I'm the operator and owner of Roycycled Treasures. And every Monday we meet here, and this is the Mad Scientist Lab. because we do a lot of playing and experimenting, which I believe pushes us to grow creatively. But the way that we do that is we play my media mashup game. So I have to draw out 4 to 5 random prompts from my can, and that dictates like what we do. So I literally don't know what we're going to do. I'll show up with a surface, so with a project piece, but other than that, we don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I feel like I'm getting faster with coming up with a plan. The first couple of times, it took me like 30 minutes just to decide what I was going to do, didn't it? Did it feel like that to you guys? I have some moisture in here, you guys, so that's why this transfer is being a bit of a booger. I'm going to start up here. I may just wait because I don't want to ruin my big rows. And when you're working with like porous surfaces like wood or paper, even when it feels dry to the touch, there can still be moisture underneath that can impact the way that your project, the way that your transfer interacts with your surface. So because this is paper, I'm guessing that there's still a significant amount of moisture under there. And I'm not using the proper tool either. I mean, it'd probably be helpful if I was using a brayer that actually came with the transfer. But I can't find one. And I have like a whole jar of them somewhere. Never throw away your brayers, you guys. You can always use one. You know, Chris, I could do that, but I feel like the purpose is really to be off the cuff. Like I want you guys to see me stumble through. I want you guys to see me think it out. I think that's part of the value of the Mad Scientist Monday. And it's important for you guys to see that. A lot of times when we show up live, we already have like a pretty good idea of what we're doing. And if you're new and you're watching people live all the time, you can have the misconception that we're somehow magical, and the reason that we're able to create things is because we have some, I don't know, magic sauce or something. But that's not it. Usually it's because we're prepared, right? So when I show up and you guys have to like watch me fumble through the process and come up with answers, I do feel like there's value in that. But you guys tell me, I could be mistaken. And we actually finished. What time is it? Ah, I'm 3 minutes over, but it is finished. We actually finished the project from start to finish. Woo-ha! Let me wipe up this white paint before I cause problems. But I'll do a quick recap before we all go away. But this is our piece for today. Again, I'm working in just an atlas. I love using these atlases for my, I'm going to call this my practice journal instead of an art journal. For my practice journals, because it allows me to test out different combinations, different processes of combination of products, different processes. At a scale that is closer to what I would do on, say, a piece of furniture, maybe a door, you know, on a buffet or a home decor piece. And so that is why I love picking these atlases up at the thrift store and then using them for my practice journal. And And so that's what we use today. And then for the mixed media mashup game, my challenges were to use a transparent paper over the top. And you guys, we use the Roycycle Topography Love paper over the top of a stencil background, and we went through the steps to make it transparent, even though I ended up doing a whitewash to add a little bit of opacity to it. But we did discover, right, in our experimenting, that gloss gel really does make the paper super, super transparent. I'm happy about that. Oh, I got a stamp with metallic. I still have that one left over. A blended stencil, and a blended stencil is when you're using 2 or more colors and you're blending them together on your stencil. And so we used 2 greens. We used a lighter green and a darker green, and we blended this damask stencil on the back, which we did ultimately decoupage over the top. I made some DIY tape, which was my least favorite part of the challenge, but it's there. We made the DIY tape, and I did add it technically. And then my underpainting was white. So we started with a white base. And then my last challenge, I almost forgot about it, was to use a stamp with metallic. And so let me find, I have like 5011 pieces of the Crackalier laying around. So I know I always have it. And I'm going to mix some, I do feel like I have copper too, but I feel like the pale gold is going to go better with the roses. With this is kind of a bougie pretty piece, not like a Royce piece. So we're going to carry on that theme. So I'm going to take a little bit of my Posh pigments, and this is pale gold, which you guys know is one of my faves. And I'm going to mix it with a little bit of my water-based sealer to make a metallic paint. And I'm not making a ton, right? Because I don't need a ton. I just need a little bit, just enough to stamp this. And I'm mixing a lot of powder and a little bit of sealer because I want it to be pretty opaque. That's why I like using the Posh powders too, because you can put as little or as much clear coat in as you want, which gives you complete control over how opaque your application is. Let's see. My brayer has seen better days. Let's use this sprayer. If you are someone who is struggling with stamping, using your brayer with your stamp really does increase the odds of you getting the right amount of product on your stamp so that you have a better result. So I'm just gonna roll this right over the top of my stamp. You guys can see I have chalk. I mean, I have como se dice, cornstarch on my stamp because I also use this to add texture to something. And so I'm just going to go through and I'm just touching it in various places. And it just adds a little extra texture, visual texture, right, to my piece. And inside of the Decoupage with Confidence course, I do talk about using both visual and physical texture to be able to blend your decoupage paper effectively. And so that's going to be my stamp. And I don't know if you guys can see that. Let me see. I just added, can you guys see that? You probably can't, can you? A little bit of crackle here and there. And now they have the vintage textures stamp, which you get 4 different kind of cracks and textures, and they come in smaller sheets. But we used to just have like one huge sheet of Crackalier, and I always cut mine with irregular edges so that when I was using it, I would never end up with something that was really like a rigid shape, but I would end up with a more organic, even if my edge touched my piece. So that's why this looks like this, you guys. And that's it. That's all. So thank you guys so much for joining me for this morning's Mad Scientist Monday project. I love showing up here with you guys on Monday morning because I know, Michelle, you can't see it. I don't know how to make you see it because it's so subtle. Oh, wait, there you can see it. See it right there, right next to the tape? It's just it's there, and you can see it better in person. But it's just a little bit of visual texture here and there. that I was able to add to this piece. I love showing up with you guys here on Monday. Honestly, this is an exercise for me as well. It really does challenge me to be able to come up with a project in the amount of time that we have, and to not know what I'm going to do and just show up and do it. So if you guys get the game and you do it, I promise, it will help you grow creatively, and it's fun, right? Because where experimentation goes, creativity follows. Thank you guys so much for joining me this morning. You guys have a blessed week. We will not be live on Sunday because it's Easter Sunday, but I will be back here with you guys on Monday morning at 10 a.m. Pacific time. If you are a Roy Cycle Besties, we are meeting Wednesday evening at 5 p.m. Pacific time, and I will be painting the settee, so I hope you will join us for that. You guys have a blessed day, and I will see you guys next time.